Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! In the last episode, we had a little dance of deduction, and I crapped up a little bit. I hope you're not too mad at me, but it was so fun. It was so incredibly awesome. And now we're back. We discovered that Mr. What's his name? Gary Depp? Yeah, Gary Depp. Mr. Gary Depp is married to his maid, and the maid isn't actually the maid. They just put up a charade because they don't want to be shunned by society because they don't have a maid. So that's that. And now we're gonna find out a little bit more about them, it seems. It's these dashed long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there.
And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material.
For which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly an Here we go again. And the carpet, was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames.
You paint a Tory picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining.
That's sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind the screen for the time being. Okay, now we take a look at behind the screen, apparently. Over here, Mr. Gary Depp.
Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me.
Had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. Gosh. Then the wife started hurling things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride.
The Lion's Pride. Oh yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again.
I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes's deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and the old stick fell in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at the moment. And I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, what can I do for you?
Well, I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Gary Depp's situation now. But what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances?
I can't help you there, I'm afraid.
What?
My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not.
I just knew you were going to say that.
Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not.
That makes no sense to me.
Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now.
Sorry?
Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over.
Oh no, is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think.
Perhaps you'd like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garrideb.
Oh yes. I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Saseki-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. Well, I'm going to examine the case for the time being because it's new. What a miserable sight. Oh dear, but at least the whole room wasn't engulfed in flames. I suppose so. But my whole collection went up in smoke, you know. All those novels I adored so much. Well, John, whose fault is that? Not mine, that's for sure.
Well, whoever may or may not be to blame. I'm quite sure you can buy some new old books to replace them, can't you?
New old books? Bally nonsense. It does sound like a contradiction in terms, but then these two are full of contradictions. That's coupled for you, Mr. Naruhodo, or so I've been led to believe. Well. Everything else was checked out. Do we have check marks everywhere? We do, apparently. Yes, we do. So that means... Can we present something? No, we can't. So let's move right to prison then. Because there's where Mr. Natsume is right now. And we will have to give him an answer. 19th February, Briar Road. But I did go to prison, didn't I? It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a car... Oh! What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garrideb's house. Who is that?
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
Who are you calling an old man, you rum-looking nimini-pimini?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
Who's this Horatio fella, huh? What are you on about? Excuse me? What the? Who are you now? I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Yunosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see. A lawyer? What? If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law. Fine, I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? What is going on here? I do hope you're not injured.
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you.
What was that all about?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here? In the Garrideb residence?
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode.
Mr. Garrett mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives in the first floor?
Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Or more worthy, a polemist in my battle of words. Nah, could there be?
Sorry? Battle, did you say?
Oh, isn't that stronger? Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I spared long into the night.
Sparred long into the night, sorry. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at least.
So, fair maiden, go good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. It seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Soseki-san and that man as lodgers, the Gerideb house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. 19th February, 6:31 p.m. Local prison, cell 9. Oh, it's you! You're here, you came! Locum student Mr. Naruto, Esquire. I can't believe you came back! I'm so touched! We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume. Oh no! Think nothing of it! Relax! If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nipponese! Oh no, let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand... Oh, okay, it's...
It is thorough friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least.
It's you! The miserable, rotten spy! Herr Scholz! Mr. Scholz, what are you doing here?
I have no intention of doing anything per se, save observing, of course.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Scholz?
Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring.
Gloomful room?
At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight and cost me not a penny.
You! How dare you, Herr Scholz! I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned! What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean.
And there is much truth in Mr. Mustache's word.
What?
Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial.
What's that supposed to mean? Alright. We can't examine? I'm going to present some stuff right away. For example, a local map. Mr. Natsume, would you take this and...
Oh, the joy, the sheer joy of a gift from fellow countrymen. The complete kindness of kith and kin.
Oh no, sorry, I just wanted to show you.
The complete cruelty of kith and kin.
Oops. Okay, so that didn't do anything, but I guess the second-hand book receipt is going to. We found this receipt in your room, Mr. Natsume.
That's right, I went out to buy some new old books.
Isn't that a contradiction in terms? And it was on your way back to your room that you saw the woman being stabbed.
She's dead? I thought to myself, she's dead! My mind went completely blank. Before I knew it, I was back in my room, trembling like a leaf.
The bookworm hoping to worm his way out of a bad situation. Mr. Naruto, please do be careful not to think such disparaging thoughts. How could you possibly know? Okay, so we didn't get anything out of that, but let's talk about the cursed trial then. Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed?
Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it.
Oh, I see. That's really agitated him.
You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow?
Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me, summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words.
No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever.
Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly.
Yesterday, Mr. Naruto successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGilded.
What?
I am impressed, Miss Susato. You have an eye for detail.
Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes? Surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. That's what I thought too. But I don't believe that that is the case, because I don't think that Lord Van Zieks is a bad person. But let's see what they have to say. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely?
Oh, you have some wonderful notions.
Sorry?
The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow.
Oh, yes. Why, of course he is.
Oh, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me?
It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis.
What on earth do you mean by that? Alright, so let's learn more about the Reaper.
Van Zieks is a quite exceptional man.
Sorry, I just... Oh, sorry guys. I have to take a sip. Oh, there we go.
Okay. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception.
Oh, that's good.
Saseki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy.
As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there's both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system, whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion, in particular, is somewhat easily manipulated.
Right.
Criminals, and corrupt lawyers for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witnesses, and so on. By such underhand means, those who would want to, are able to sway the jury. Which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail.
But it means the wrong verdict can be passed.
And sadly, it's from time to time, my dear madame. It is simply the reality of the situation.
And that's alright?
However, those indicted by Lord Vaziks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed.
Oh my.
Though their education may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking.
Disappear? But how?
By all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by a highwayman.
Oh, no.
All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo.
I knew it. I'm dead. No, done for, doomed.
Okay, let's talk about the cursed lodgings. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garrideb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. But I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in my cell.
That didn't take long then.
Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room. But even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away.
You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time.
I've had to move a number of times. Most recently to that room on Briar Road a week ago now.
Yes. Why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient.
The rent is cheap. I have so little money it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late. So I told him,
Sorry, I have to take another sip, guys.
"If you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place."
Yes, well said.
But it was true. It was all true.
You mean the room really is cursed then?
Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really none at all?
To believe. Yes, To believe. To believe. Let's talk about it. Mr. Sholmes?
Me, Mr. Naruhodo. Pray, what can I do for you?
It's about the case on the SS Buria, if you recall.
The Buria. Ah, that case. The one with the snake.
Well, yes. All that time I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us to investigate.
I did? Did I? Interesting.
What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe in me?
I see, yes, you mean... Because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with a victim in a locked room?
And well, if you like, yes.
I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow.
Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on. But I'm gonna finish this, I promise.
It's quite simple, really. You said, I didn't do it.
But I could have been lying.
Surely you must have had your doubts.
Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little.
I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me.
What?
You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in.
What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I am concerned.
But I could have betrayed your trust.
In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse in my opinion.
Meaning?
Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself.
Yes, he's right. He's right, locum student. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Whether or not I can believe myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You were so right, Kazuma.
Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe.
Already?
Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There's a restaurant near that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me?
Oh dear, there's never enough time, is there?
Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
As I said, I only experienced the British courtroom for the first time yesterday, and although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial.
Something crucial?
What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else. To trust my instincts.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo.
And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow.
As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue.
Of course, Mr. Natsume.
It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it.
Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Mr. Sato?
Yes?
Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court?
Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant.
The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. But it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Shawns believes in me now too. So it's time that I learn to believe in myself. Soseki-san has no one. He's all alone. So it's my job to help him, to fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. Well, guys, that was the finale of the investigation. In the next episode, we're going to start the trial. So tune in next time for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. See you then.